The title of this podcast is Keeping Keeping an Open Heart Even When Others Want you to close it. This is a subject or a topic that really resonates with me. I found that I have a lot less suffering in my life and more inner peace and joy now that I keep an open heart no matter what. And that can be made very difficult to do when the people around you, for whatever the reason, are closing their heart and they want you to do the same thing. I had an experience happen many years ago in ToBeRe in which people disconnected from ToBeRe for reasons that I mentioned in previous podcasts. And in doing so, there was this voice. This is before I had a practice, but this was also a turning point for me. It was a crossroads. And to not start to do behavior that I'd done many years before, my whole life up until that point. And what I did is as people were disconnecting, I was aware that I had a choice. And the choice was, and my mind was really pretty, committed on me making this choice because it was very seductive. And that was if they were going to disconnect for reasons that I did not think were justified, then that's it. That relationship is over. It's done. And I know a lot of people who are like this, that when something happens and the relationship experiences conflict, that they automatically cut those people out of their lives. That's one way to move through the world. But I've learned over the last 8 years to move through the world in a very different way. One that allows me to continue to be kind and loving to people, even if they choose not to be kind and loving to me. That's their path. In this particular instance, what I did was I told myself, I will not suffer through this. And I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not hold resentment, to not make people wrong for going in a different direction. And I'm going to work on accepting this reality of the situation and work on keeping an open heart. That's my work. And I knew that if I did that, that open heart would allow inner peace to come in. And it will also allow me to experience more joy in my life. And that's what I did. And there were people around me who were their intentions were understandable. Like they really cared for me. And the way that they were going to show how much they cared it's also the way that I guess, incorrectly express my care for someone else, is that if someone wronged me or someone that I loved, if I thought that the other parties wronged them, then they became an enemy to me. I closed my heart to them. And that's conditional. And I want to be unconditional in keeping an open heart, in being loving and kind. And so I use that as an opportunity to do that. And I went a step further. I asked the people who were wanting to protect me by making these other people enemies. I encouraged them to do the same thing, to let that go, to not wish the other parties harm, or to wish them to wish them a rough road ahead, but instead to work on cultivating an open heart as well. And so I think by my example, that's exactly what we did. And we continue to do so today. So that's just one way to do it when others want you to close your heart, to keep it open. I've seen it happen when people get a divorce. Oftentimes people feel that, well, I was friends with both partners. And now that the breakup has happened, especially if it's one in which it was contentious, they got to choose which side that they have to align themselves with or still be friends with. And I'm here to tell you that you don't. When I went through a relationship coming to an end, which is also tied to the situation that I just mentioned or alluded to, I gave my friends permission to be friends with my former partner. I said, yeah, and if you have to choose her. Like, I want you to continue to have an open heart for you, for her, and for what we want to contribute to humanity. And that was such a big thing for me to do because my personal mind was telling me to do the exact opposite. It was really wanting them to have to choose who they were going to be friends with. I had not had an example in my life prior to that of how you could do both, of how you could keep an open heart and keep those relationships with both parties. How do you do that when there's divorce or conflict? But we did it, and that was beautiful. So, and I've had it happen so many different ways. Friends who are very passionate about politics, they learn of someone who believes something completely different than they do. And all of a sudden, you have these lines drawn, and the other party is an enemy. And if my political leanings are closer to this friend, they want me to see the other person in a poor light. I refuse to do that. I'm not about to confuse your behavior, your beliefs, or your values with the humanity that ties us all together. I'm not doing that. So I really learned to use all of these experiences and situations as an opportunity for me to keep an open heart. It doesn't mean that I agree with your views or your political leanings. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is I won't allow the difference and our viewpoints to be a wedge between us. I will not allow it to make my love for you conditional. In the face of that, I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to use it as an opportunity to let go of myself so I can be loving with these differences in views and opinions. So it's easy, really, to keep an open heart when others want you to close it, but it does take practice.